All right, before we get it, hold on. I got to introduce you first. Okay, so Bhuvan, as you know, Bhuvan comes to us from St. Ives, Sydney, Australia. He joined the Rotary Club there in 2002, right? And he was most recently the assistant governor for their city North Zone. I don't think I'm going to read all of this, but suffice to say, Bhuvan has done a lot for Rotary, a lot of what you'll hear this morning as he talks about his worldwide experiences. On the professional front, he has more than 2 decades. I'm going to try this like Dr. Bhuvan Unhelkar. No, how do you say it? Unhelkar. Okay, thank you. Has more than 2 decades of strategic as well as hands-on experience in the information and communications technologies industry. As you know now, he's at USF, just recently joined the campus as associate professor in information technology. As he told us last week, unfortunately his family is still in Sydney. Asha, his wife of almost 30 years, and his daughter, who's a Ryla Arian, and resident doctor, and son, and a 4-way test participant. Excuse me, they plan to visit Sarasota in the December-January timeframe, which we'll look forward to meeting them. Bhuvan has been a volunteer at the New South Wales Parks and Wildlife, leading bushwalks. Oh, cool. His personal interests include classical Indian music, listening and singing, writing and reciting poetry, reading, cooking, vegetarian curries, photography, and meditation. Well, this will be very interesting. All right, great. Welcome, Bhuvan, please.
Good day. And what is this?
Bush hat.
Getting there. One more try. Yes, you're right. But it's an akubra. An akubra is an Australian bush hat. And good day is an Australian greeting, which somewhere in 1988, when the mighty Moe USS Missouri visited Sydney coast, they had put it up on the entire ship. Just one word, good day. G''day. Which is an Australian easy way of life. I don't have to remember whether it is morning or evening. Now what is this? A koala.
Kangaroo.
And a kangaroo. Not all animals are as cute as this in Australia, and I will tell you a little bit more about them. But I had taken these 2 little things with me when I traveled to many places. So let me share with you in about 20 minutes, President Chris, approximately. I try to stick to time. So in terms of my own profile, I'm really, really proud. That's December 2002. And my classification has been software engineering, which is of great attraction to Andy and Bill over here, particularly Andy. I used to run, I'm still running a company, consulting company, but now I'm a part of USF and very happy to be here. It's literally a sea change. And it just so happened that one of my books, which relate to agile software practices, had a foreword from a person that I did not knew, lives in Sarasota, Steve Blias. And when Anurag over there read the foreword to my book, he says, you see who has written the foreword? It's someone who lives in Sarasota. That was 3 years back. Wow. So looks like serendipity, alignment of the stars somewhere in the heavens, having close friends from past lives, and I'm right here and feeling very comfortable. Now, what I'm going to share with you is not just a suite of travel experiences or simply sharing only Rotary as at a high level, but something that goes way deeper and of immense value to me. So the way I would position Rotary and my Rotary experiences, I would take you back to 1960s when a scientist, Jose Delgado, did what he called bull experiment. What he did is he operated on a bull and inserted in the bull's brain two electrodes, one in the temporal lobe that relates to anger and the other that relates to fear. And then, I mean, this is a YouTube video, just 1 minute, I'm not playing it here. But what he did is, without anything in his hand other than his radio transmitter, he pressed the anger button and the bull charged, and there were reporters all around. This is a 1960s experiment. And when the bull is about to attack Delgado, he pressed the fear button. And within a fraction of a second, the whole, I would say 300 kilos in my parlance, whatever, 500 pounds, but the animal stopped and turned around. Now, this experiment I relate to two very well-loved professionals. Dr. Wilder Penfield from Canada, who repeated these experiments, but on a person on an operating table while conducting brain surgery, gently touching their temporal lobes with mild electric probe. And the people who were on the table, the part of the operation was such that they had to be conscious and be communicating with the surgeon. And he asked them what they felt. There were people who were going back in time to when they were 6-year-old and remembering how their mother used to play a piano. There's a young man who is smelling sulfur and enjoying it, which is actually the chemical that is used to clean hospitals or certain areas of hospitals. And that was because his dad was a medical doctor, and he used to visit his dad when he was a kid. So what Dr. Wilder Penfield said is, whenever there are such transactions, whenever there are such initiations, a person goes back in time and has almost no control over what is happening in their mind. So if I was a kid somewhere in India and I was listening to classical Indian music or Bollywood dancing nowadays, and I was fascinated by the color red, then at the age of 50, whenever those same stimuli are given to my brain, I become 6-year-old and I'm completely lost in those feelings. And you can't tell me that green can be better than red. Now, if you are born and brought up in a place where green is great, then I can't tell you that blue can be any better. So we grow up like this. And Dr. Eric Byrne, he put together the whole socio-psychological framework of transactional analysis, which I studied as a young management student and which I have also used in my psychology of agile work. And he said that you and I, the way we interact, the way we provide stimuli and responses, and the ongoing interaction is a whole ecosystem. And I continue to approach it thinking, or not even thinking, being what I was exposed to as a child. And you continue to follow what you were exposed to as a child. And unless and until we try and come out of that very rigid boundaries that are set in our brain, there is no opportunity for what one would say global peace. And to me, Rotary represents a unique organization that is professional, social, cultural, and rotating all the time. With 33,000 clubs around the world and 1.2 million Rotarians, I have every opportunity to expose my mind and my brain and my personality to a range of stimuli, a range of experiences that would tell me that even though I was born and brought up with red as right, green can be right, white can be right, blue can be right, and so on. So that was the background with which I decided not only will I jump into Rotary, not only will I do whatever good I can, service above self, but also step out of the box, expose myself to a range of experiences, and know that the hippity dee-do, right? That is what you sang. I'm trying to sing. When you sang God Bless America, I'm trying to sing. Because somewhere I sang Jana Gana Mana, the Indian national anthem. Somewhere I sing Advance Australia Fair, the Australian national anthem. Somewhere I sang Vande Sri Lanka, so that is the Sri Lankan national anthem. And through these experiences, I'm realizing, hey, yes, I love my national anthem, but so do you. And I have all the reason to be proud of mine, but so have you. So I'm going to share with you a few experiences of mine through pictures. So I'm now going to go much faster through the pictures. And out of the 4 objects of Rotary, these are objects. I mean, in addition to the four-way test, we also have the objects of Rotary. And I had to learn them by heart when I appeared in the DG interview. And I was glad that I was second runners-up because I had to now come here and I couldn't have taken over the reins of district governor, but I would have loved to. The development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Look at all of you. I have probably met you only 1 week ago. And through you, I am now opening up doors for service. And through service, I am opening up doors for friendship. Then these are high ethical standards, application of ideal of service, but then advancement of international understanding, goodwill and peace. I doubt whether that is possible by simply staying in one place and believing in only one suite of beliefs. So Rotary enabled me to go out and expand and particularly follow the first and the last object of Rotary. Now I'll take you through some pictures. This is my university in India. I graduated in 1982 as an electronic engineer when information technology was not there. My classification is software engineering, but software engineering didn't exist. And it's a very old artistic building. This is called the Lakshmi Vilas Palace in Vadodara, my hometown. And now there is a sprawling golf club around it, and my Rotarian friends over there run golf tournaments to raise funds. So in case you are interested in a good round of golf, it's right next to a palace, and it's about just 1+ mile from where I used to live for almost 20 years. This was a crowning day of my life when I became the president of my club in July or end of June 2011. And that's my lovely wife Asha, who has been very kind in supporting my Rotary activities. Sometimes by participating and sometimes by not being there. My first flag exchange, this was an old camera, apologies, but this happened with the Rotary Club of Baroda Cosmopolitan, and that was the time when I started learning and knowing more about Rotary. And there are many of you here, and there are many in my club in St. Ives who would have loved to be in India to drop those couple of drops of polio vaccine in the mouth of infants and kids. Yeah. On 9th of February 2003, not fully knowing what I'm doing, I was actually a part of that campaign in my hometown. So I was doing makeups, I was getting my makeup cards, but I was also participating in that polio vaccination. And this script over here is a Gujarati script, and I won't go into more details except saying that India is more like United States of India, with states to states difference in food, culture, languages and value system, and this is a different state. Dr. Rumin Shah over here, who is also a very fine Rotarian, gave a talk on diabetic bomb, and I just listened there respectfully. Later, on 1st of August 2006, at 2:30 a.m. at night, I received a phone call. Bhuvan, I'm very sorry to say your father is no more. That call was made by Rotarian Dr. Rumin Shah. And I was in Sydney, father was in in Vadodara, my hometown. It was a very touching moment, and culturally, from my Indian background, I had to be there to do the final rites, and I remembered the fact that I had listened to him 4 years back, and he looked after my father. This is Dr. Mahendra. He is a Farsi surgeon, now settled fully in London, a very fine Rotarian. And it was his sister actually, who is another doctor, who informed me in 2009 about my mother. The reason I'm sharing that is Rotary goes across the board. Somewhere there is a professional support, and I will share that with you, and somewhere there is something very, very personal. I went to another town in India. It's called Indore in central India, and I was promoting the RI convention, about which I will share with you soon. And I made very, very good friends who looked after me, took me around, and of course this little man just grabbed my koala and said, "Uncle Bhuvan, you're not getting that back." More recently, in 2013 and 14, I went to Chennai, the southern Indian town, Madras as it used to be called during the British Raj. And I was delivering a couple of courses there in Great Lakes Institute, which is named both after Chicago Great Lakes, because the owner is from Chicago, Indian American. And he has really created a very fine gated community, fully self-sufficient, running myriad courses. And this talk happened with Rotractors, and you were asking about, someone was asking here or mentioning, and you mentioned Rotract. This talk happened at past 11 o'clock in the middle of the night, almost. And the reason is because these young men, my MBA students, had gone to an adopted village and spent the entire day in the village doing cleaning up and providing whatever support they could. And then they came back 9 o'clock, and they said, "Sir Bhuvan, we want you to come and give a talk." So this was one of those unique talks. You can see I am completely exhausted here, but still I am explaining to them whatever I had to. There's a third club there called Rotary Club of Madras, Midtown Madras, as I said, is the old name for Chennai. And of course I was doing my banner exchange, flag exchange, and we had a wonderful session, in fact a couple of makeups. And President Chris will remember, I sent a list of talks that I have given, including vegetarian lifestyle, arranged marriages. Oh my God. My daughter, that was her response. So I'm looking at Lauren and Josh. Dad, what the hell are you talking about? And then there is, of course, the global peace, which I would love to come and share with you in the future. So at that time, I brought a few baggies of Good from Sydney, and I got some here as well, which I will leave behind for you. Work as a consultant and trainer took me to Malaysia from 2010-11 onwards for about 4 years. And I absolutely enjoyed going there. Kuala Lumpur was the main place where I went, and Rotary Club of Metro KL. I made some absolute great friends over there, and I've gone there now for many years, and they are saying, "Where are you, Bhuvan? Come back." They almost said, "You become a member of their club and do makeups in St. Ives," which is not a good idea. And of course, we had quite a few interesting exchanges, and also talk time. He's now, of course, past district governor, but he was the district governor at the time, and I attended a district assembly. And in the assembly, of course, a couple of tables away from me, in a hall full of about 500 people, there was the Sultan of Selangor. Now, I had no idea, and I mean, both India and Australia have no sultans whatsoever. I'm assuming none here as well. But when I went back to Maxis, which is where I was delivering my training the next day, and I said, "Look, I was in a dinner with the Sultan of Selangor," they said, "Get out of here." What do you mean? Some of you can relate to that. So that's the charm of Rotary to me, to the district assembly. In around 2007-8, I had this wonderful opportunity to be a British Telecom rebadged consultant. and I spent 3 months in Colombo in Sri Lanka. And there I had again some absolutely wonderful Rotary experiences, including sing-along and playing my harmonica, and of course making small contributions. The talk that I gave there was Future of Telecom Industry in Asia and the World. This was the Thanksgiving, and the Sri Lankan flag and the Rotary flag being pinned on my suit, sorry. Now this is a place that no one goes. You can see the cops over here, and you know whatever is written. I took a couple of pictures here. Why do you think I went there? Because Rotary Club of Colombo Central had a project in which they would take a couple of buses and they would extract all the kids whose parents, both as like father and mother, are in the prison. And these are like top prisons. So we, the club over there, so I can say we because I was a part of the club. We took all these young kids out from the Gaol, put them in these two buses, and we took them to the only theme park in Sri Lanka.
Wow.
And that was fun. And when I saw the eyes of those kids lit up when we brought them over here, and fully funded by Rotary. And you can see all these kids. These are the kids who never had the opportunity other than such to go out, and even when they go to the school they are very strictly escorted. So my original first two slides about how one can expand one's vision, in fact for the kids this is even more true because they are getting exposed to an environment they would not otherwise get exposed to. And if one of these kids grows up as a 20-year-old young man and looks at a Rotary wheel, what do you think will happen to him? He will remember that there were a bunch of fine Rotarians who came to the prison, took me out from there and gave me 1 day worth of experience. As is my habit, you know, I had taken a few Australian t-shirts and little toys and I distributed, and there are quite a few pictures around that. Now I came to your wonderful country as well, and this was way back when I was a little boy. And I don't have to say where I had gone, but it was a conference, IT related conference, and in fact it was held by the Object Management Group. The acronym is of course OMG, oh my God. I met with the president over there, very well received. That was a one-off event because I was there for only 4 days. And I managed to get their Japanese banner. So somehow we will have to expand on these, right? In my club, we put the banners on the tables. You know, 4 or 5 banners. They're hanging on the tables. They had quite a few, but I only picked up the one that was the Japanese one, as you can see. And they looked after me and they gifted me a mug, which I thought is not a bad idea. And you can see the Liberty Bell over here. Then I went to UK. And that was much later, and I was very well received. This was in 2009 by President Pat Thomas, and before I left Sydney Shores, I said, Madam President, I'm a vegetarian, and she said, what do you think? Do you think I don't understand what's a vegetarian? Come on, what do you want to eat? And I was very well received, and this was a banner exchange here. As you can see, my war attire. So that brings me to Australia, another 5 minutes. And what a wonderful experience it has been. I mean, when I came here, and I have now moved here for all practical purposes, many friends were saying, oh, that was a good strategy. And I'm saying, what strategy? You know, I'm just floating in life, you know, and life has brought me here. And the same happened 29 years back, 26th of July, 1986, when I left the shores of India and landed in Sydney as a young COBOL programmer, Andy. That's just for your information.
I remember it well.
You do. One of the highlights there was the visit of RI President Kalyan Banerjee. He was the president, I think it was 11, 12 or around that time. And he visited with his wife, and we my club, St. Ives, hosted him, and a RI president is a leader of 1.2 million Rotarians, you and I, and a highly respected person. And we were honored that out of 33,000 clubs and out of 500 and whatever 30 districts, he landed there, and we welcomed him. That's his wife Binota ji, and Asha, my wife, and again we felicitated them. This is my board. So John Steele over here, Graham Rivet, and now just past president of IPP, D. Stewart. So I had a very interesting board, including past district governor Brian Coleman, Russell Crofts, and so on. Another experience is youth exchange student. And I would definitely love my kids to go out and be a yesers, if you like, but we certainly hosted a few. And I was sharing with some of you over here that this is Matthias, or Matt as we call him. When he landed in Sydney as a young youth exchange student, he was quite nervous because the Australian culture is pretty loud, you know, and everybody is shouting, and it's fun, but that's called mateship. And of course, it took me almost 2 decades to understand that's actually mateship, you know. When somebody is pulling my legs, actually he's trying to be my friend. So with that coaching, you know, Bill and Andy and all, they are a breeze for me. So when he left in 1 year's time, he was cutting jokes in Australian, and that's a big achievement. A very, very confident young man, and we sent him back as an ambassador of Rotary, and someone who will have very difficult time when Brazil plays Australia. And that was from Denmark. So this is Jacob, and he also went back with very good experiences, and that's President D complimenting him. National Youth Science Forum, where in Canberra, which is nation's capital, and Perth occasionally, we bring students who are top-notch students from around the country and expose them to science. So that can be chemistry, or that can be physics, or that can be mathematics, or that can be, you know, basic fundamental science. And these students build projects entirely sponsored by Rotary. And when these students come back, they give a talk, and when I listen to that talk, every time I'm mesmerized that these kids have not just learned science in 4 days, they have learned humanity in 4 days. And that's such a wonderful value. I mentioned Dr. Bruce Farnsworth. Now I'm chatting with you about the social value, or personal social value of Rotary. Dr. Bruce called my daughter, young daughter at that time, Sonki, probably Lauren's age, little elder, and said, Sonki, you are thinking about medicine as a career. And that's what I heard. And next, in about a week's time, Sonki comes to me and says, Dad, he took me right in the operating theater, and he told the patient, this is my Rotarian friend Bhuvan's daughter. Do you mind if she looks at the operation? And the patient said, what choice do I have? I'm here with nothing on me. You're going to put a needle in me, and I'll be with the fairies, and then you do what you want. Now that young lady is a resident. She is making sure that Dad has his Hep B over here and tetanus over there, and drinks limited quantity of red wine, and so on. So I'm much obligated to a Rotarian friend who enticed my daughter and exposed her to what is medical profession. You can see, Bill, why I have no qualms in going out of my way and helping Lauren if I could, if she allows me to. And so also Anurag and Sunita. One of the highlights of my work or my stay with Rotary was the RI convention. And if you remember, in 2014, it was held in Sydney, Australia. And 19,500 Rotarians from around the world congregated there, and we were involved in various ways. DJ Graham Davis at the time, we were going out and promoting, and so somebody took a picture of ours and said, drop everything for the RI Sydney convention. I was traveling at that time. This is Sydney International Airport. There is a charity box there where I make a point to drop some coins. Australian, Indian, no, not Indians. I have to drop some notes, currency notes, if I have to contribute. We went up on the bridge. You can see me here somewhere. This was not a normal climb. This was 23rd of February. You know what's 23rd of February? It's our birthday, right? And we went up on the bridge to promote the bridge climb, because the aim was to get as many Rotarians on the bridge during the RI convention, which was in June, July, which happened to be our winter months, by the way. So we went up there, and I was asked to do something Indian to promote bridge climb to our Indian delegates. And this, by the way, is that arch of the bridge. So this is a special climb, and you pay some $100 per person to climb up. So this is not the walk on the bridge. This is the arch, which is used for maintenance. And somebody had a great innovative idea and opened it up to public. And when Oprah Winfrey, am I pronouncing correctly? When she came to Sydney, she managed to put 360 people on the bridge at the same time. And our goal was to break her record. We put 400 plus people, Rotarians, on the bridge. And all for good cause. As you know, they keep him being in polio.
Wow.
Asha was there with me, and this is the Rotary convention site, very well supporting. This gentleman was welcoming everyone, and I was wearing my district team shirt. So he said, I don't need to welcome you. And I said, no sir, you can welcome me, let's have a selfie. 19,000 divided in two groups, 16,000 in the first lot, and the remaining people who were late in registering in the next lot in Alphonse Arena, which is the Olympic arena where Sydney 2000 Olympic was held. Guests from around the world, Bhargav, he stayed with me, and a couple of more guests, and we were delighted to host the guests. This is called Cathy Freeman Fountain. She is Australia's fastest runner, won gold in 400 and a couple of other events, keeps running events. This fountain is not open usually, but for the Rotary convention, it was opened up in a cold June month. You can see it's a beautiful place where the event was held. Prime Minister Tony Abbott came, and he declared $100 million on behalf of his government for next 5 years to end polio now. And while I appreciated that, what I appreciated more was the fact that when he finished his speech with 16,000 live audience, he walked down the steps in the first row and shook hands with his dad, who is a Rotarian, climbed back up the steps, waved to us, and went away. And I thought, hey, I mean, Mr. Abbott is under severe pressure. I mean, all politicians are. But for him to show that human side, and the fact that his dad is a Rotarian, made me feel very happy. And he's the premier, Mike Babe. Opera House, which I call the Taj Mahal of Australia, was fully lit up with lights and so on. The trains, special chartered trains, and I mentioned that because my wife works in the IT department of transport, so if she watches my little video, she will know that I have acknowledged her department. we also ran shuttle buses within the Olympic arena for people who had a challenge in walking. I brought another Australiana to show off here, which is, what is it called? Boomerang. Why it is called the boomerang? Just as a boomerang in the Aboriginal indigenous language means head cover, boomerang is when you throw something, it'll come back. Law of karma. You can see the world is connected. I do something good without any intention of reward, something has to come back from somewhere. We'll talk about the law of karma some other time. So the Aboriginal dance group was there in the traditional welcome and showcasing very well Australian culture. And I thought for 19,000 people to appreciate what is Australia was just amazing. And now I don't know which one is cute, so I will let you decide. But this is not a dangerous animal, it's a diamond python. It's an Australian native snake, if you like, in that category. and visitors were allowed to touch and play with it. So also these animals kept in a display center. Finally, I had a unique experience. I was invited by RI President Ron Burton at that time, to be a part of the initial interfaith service. And I was awed, and this is 2014. And I thought, wow, what happened is there were 5 faith readings at the start of the convention: the Christian, the Islam, the Buddhist, the Jewish, and the Hindu faith. And I did not know that such a thing can happen and does happen, and it was wonderful. So we are non-religious and we are multi-religious. We are non-political, but we still accept politicians donating $100 million and so on. So this is Commissioner James Condon from Salvation Army, and then he asked me to don my Hindu clothes, and I was invited to do a short 3-minute reading on the Hindu faith, which I did. And then of course and Asha was there. She is also my quality control, so she made sure that I talk something sensible. And that was a very unique experience. Now, in Rotary we fight, and we fight a lot. And all the experiences I have shared with you have taught me that it's a healthy fight. In my club, we used to sing Advance Australia Fair like the way I'm learning to sing God Bless America. And then somewhere 3 years back, we had a fight, and we say we are non-political, blah blah blah, and then we'll just not sing Advance Australia Fair. All right. Now I'm sure 5 years later, someone will say we need to sing Advance Australia Fair because that guy Bhuvan over there is singing God Bless America. So what I'm saying is it's healthy to have our debates, and we continue to have debates, but it's all a part of growth. So in conclusion, Rotary enables me to be not responding to triggers like the way Jose Delgado experimented with the book. I am expanding my vision, and I am able to have some free will by saying, yes, red can be right, and blue can be right, and green can be right. I think that's the basis for global peace. I think education and the fact that we are rotating. So Anurag, I think, was asking President Chris about the presidency. It's only for 1 year, and we rotate, and we want everyone to be president as much as we want everyone to be a Paul Harris fellow, right? And I love Rotary. So as the current president, Ravi Ravindran, who was also there at the Interfaith Service and had a chat with me, he says, and I'll just paraphrase him slightly by quoting, I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They are really saying, I love you. And I sing to myself, be a gift to the world. Thank you.
Yes.
I think you exemplify personally and then on a global level what Rotary is all about. That was great. I have one more thing I'd like you to do. Since you were the speaker.
Yes, sir.
Was this the same time that somebody killed a cat under the top? Or was that his son?
It was his son.
You don't want to, yeah, kill his son.
Yeah, so many winners.
It's a huge story. Just one. There are some, they couldn't put it on prison.
1 week.
Don't give up, Tom. Don't give up.
Very short.
Yes, since you were our speaker, could you just pick out the winner? You didn't? Did you buy a ticket?
No, Andy didn't give me one.
Oh, you want me to read this? All right, 241.